Geek Salad's Retro Movie Reviews from the Geek Salad Podcast. I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike.
And tonight we continue our look back at the films of PIXAR. This has brought us to 2016's Finding Dory.
Yep.
A film that grossed over $1 billion, but yet is one of the more divisive hits in the PIXAR oeuvre. I mean, there are hits that people just plain do not like. There are hits that people absolutely love. And then there's Finding Dory.
This movie apparently is the 22nd highest grossing film of all time.
Yes, of all time.
Okay. I saw it for the first time yesterday. It did not feel like a 22nd highest grossing film of all time movie to me.
It is weird. It really is weird. I mean, it definitely comes in with all the big dick energy of Finding Nemo being not only a hit, but one of the most, and I know your feelings on this, but you cannot deny it is one of the most beloved films.
Oh, absolutely.
In the entire PIXAR pantheon.
Oh, yeah. I am not debating that point at all.
Right. So having a sequel based on its most popular character kind of makes sense. The 13-year gap was a little interesting.
Yeah, it was about the same amount of time between this Finding Nemo and Finding Dory as it was between Cribbles and Cribbles 2.
Almost. Incredibles has a year on this.
Yeah, that's why I did say almost.
Almost, yes, exactly. And you just mentioned that you saw this for the first time yesterday.
Yep.
I did take the kids to see. I think this actually might have been my son's first theatrical movie.
Oh.
He would have been 3, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
And we own it on Blu-ray, and thanks to the magic of Disney Plus, I think maybe I've seen this movie about 3, maybe 4 times, including yesterday's viewing. And I gotta say, there was something I picked up in yesterday's viewing that it never once occurred to me throughout any of the other times I watched that. And is that this movie really, really has a very soft, but I think poignant handle on how to, parents working with kids with learning disabilities. This movie is about disability, and it's in a great way where it doesn't hammer you over the head with this.
Right.
Dory's got her memory issues, and that is something that the parents have to cope with. I don't really know what Hank's deal is. I don't know if he's angry that he's missing a one of his 8 legs.
I liked Hank.
See, I didn't care for him all that much because I just kind of felt like you needed somebody to argue with Dory that wasn't Marlin. And it just...
Oh, you still had Marlin, though.
Oh, no, you still had Marlin. We can go into that in a minute. But, even characters that, these tiny little characters, like Becky and Gerald.
Oh, yeah, Gerald.
Gerald, the other seal. And by the way,
off.
I really think that Andrew Stanton knows a Gerald that he really doesn't like, because there's a Gerald in Nemo, the one who is choking on Marlin and Dory.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's also Gerald. And then this Gerald, the creepy Gerald with the pail.
That smile.
I will say this. I think that in some ways, the comedy in this is a little better, if not overall characterizations. I think some of the comedy in this movie is a little snappier than in Nemo. Character-wise, I still think that there were a lot of really the characterizations in Nemo were better than this. But go ahead. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are it's overall a fun movie, and it has its heart in the right place. But this movie kind of reeks of lazy writing.
Yeah.
There's more than one cases where like like and one of my favorite podcasts, the Cinephiles, an early episode, one of them says that in writing movies, you always have to have like, yeah, we need to get from point A to point B, but the how you get there has to make sense within the story.
Yeah.
Whoever wrote this movie, or whatever writers wrote this movie, didn't really kind of concern themselves with how to get from point A. It's like, okay, here's where point A, and we need to go to point B. They're there, done.
Yeah.
There's just so many logic. I mean, the writing just it emphasizes comedy and like drama over logic and logistics, big time.
Right.
Well, I mean,
you go ahead. Sorry.
Well, for example, like you mentioned Sigourney Weaver. I freaking love Sigourney Weaver. I think her cameo is, but why would a marine sanctuary have Sigourney Weaver as the voice of the? She's never done any kind of movies about the ocean. She doesn't, as far as I know, doesn't have any connection to like marine sanctuaries. It seems like they had Sigourney Weaver for like a day in the studio. It was like, sure, yeah, we got Sigourney Weaver, yeah.
I think a lot of that, there are times when this is poking fun at their own parts. They have celebrity voices for everything, sometimes even more so. And I still really want to know what happened when Gary Sinise brought that group of disadvantaged kids to Mission Space, only to find out he'd been replaced. I feel like it. While she might not have, outside of anything she's done with James Cameron, any real ties to that, it makes sense that they would have a celebrity voice who is greeting people, who is kind of the voice of the thing. And because it's Sigourney Weaver and her voice is so calm, it makes sense. I like that gag. I like that Dory felt like she was speaking directly to her.
I like the gag. I loved it. It just again, the writing emphasized the comedy of the moment more so than the logic of the moment.
Right.
And like, another part that kind of stands out to me is when Hank and Dory are kind of going in the baby carriage.
Yep.
And they're trying to get to the open ocean exhibit, and Dory sees a sign for the open ocean exhibit, but then it sees like the world's best, largest pair of glasses that way.
Glasses, yeah.
So she sends him that way, which is completely opposite way, and adventures ensue. And then they get to the world's largest pair of glasses, which is an echolocation, and oh look, it's the open ocean exhibit right there. It's like, why was the sign the opposite way? It made no sense whatsoever. But it was like, yeah, okay, it's right there. Whatever. And we just wanted the drama of going the wrong way, but it wasn't really the wrong way because it was the right way.
Right. I mean, sometimes you still have to include the antics in there. I mean, this is all a children's movie. You have to remember that this is a movie that is made for children with appeals to adults. I felt like I was kind of happy that they didn't cut corners. They did cut corners in a good way. This wasn't a repeat of Finding Nemo. No. The fact that they kind of glossed over how they got from the Australian current all the way over to California, which was just like Deus Ex Crush Machina.
The biggest part of Finding Nemo for Finding Dory was condensed to like a 5-minute segment.
Yeah, exactly. Just getting there. They made it not about the journey.
Yeah.
It was more about this single adventure. So I was fine with that. And you mentioned this in our offline conversation, but you want to talk about Marlin now because I'm in full agreement with you on this one. It's like they just had to Marlin had his adventure. He learned his lesson. And then he didn't learn his lesson.
And he forgot all about his big adventure, all the lessons he learned. A year later, what adventure? I didn't learn any lessons. I'm still as overprotective and really just dickish as before.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, this wasn't his story. It was Dory's story. And it just, my issue with all right. So here's my big issue with this movie is that there's only so much Dory you can take. So I felt like she worked well as, being the voice of positivity to Marlon's voice of pessimism. That works well in the first movie. This one was a lot of her being aware of her, of her issues, of her memory, and it really just teetering onto that, where she was feeling more sorry for herself in this one, where we've kind of come to know Dory as being a positive creature,
I mean, did I get like an emotional surge when she reunited with her parents? Absolutely.
Yeah. I thought it was very sweet.
Oh yeah, it was a fantastic moment, and especially with all the shells trails leading right to home. I thought that was a beautiful moment. It's just for every beautiful moment, there was a moment that was like, why are you doing it like that? It's like Bailey finds that he has fantastic echolocation. He can see everything, and somehow he mistakes two clownfish as like a barracuda. Okay, sure.
No, I think it's just that was just there for the joke, and I did like his beautiful power. I mean,
and
beluga whales, by the way, I really saw my first one up close this summer. They are magnificent creatures.
Yes, they are. Yeah, and I did like his back and forth with Destiny.
Yeah, I like that a lot. It was, what's interesting about this? I feel like a lot of the newer characters, I want to see more of them. I would have really enjoyed seeing side adventures of characters like Destiny, like Bailey, the seals. I think the seals might be my favorite part. So first of all, this movie was released in 2016. This was Idris Elba's Disney it was like his trilogy of Disney films. They all released in 2016. When he did Zootopia, he did The Jungle Book.
Oh yeah,
and he did Finding Dory.
He was one of the seals.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Idris Elba was one of the seals.
Cool.
Along with playing Chief Bogo and then Shere Khan.
Yeah. One of my favorite moments in the entire movie though is them just sleeping there, and what was his name?
Gerald.
Yeah, Gerald just swings up and off, and then back to sleep.
Yeah, it was. They were a lot of fun. They were an awful lot of fun. I liked them a lot. I felt that the voice casting was really good, and like I said, Hank was just kind of like. I mean, he was very much just kind of like a G-rated Ed Bundy. I know he's voiced by
Al Bundy.
Al Bundy.
Al
yeah,
Bundy.
Sorry, but he's
I mean, maybe it's because I love Al Bundy so much. I think Ed Bundy is fantastic. I never really had an issue with Hank. I mean, I didn't quite when like Dory saves them from the touching pool. I was like, no, she didn't really save them. Like the whole like just keep swimming thing is all about facing your fears, and fear is pretty much what saved them because octopuses squirt ink when they're afraid or in danger, and so fear is what saved them. It wasn't Dory doing anything.
Yeah.
Okay. That's one of those logistical things. Like, all right, I'll go with it. Sure, whatever. But I liked Hank.
I feel like it was given to him as an apology for having so little to do as Mr. Litwack in the Ralph films.
Oh yeah, you always forget that he was in there. I was the car chase at the end.
That was a lot of heavy lifting.
Yeah,
with my suspension and disbelief on that. However, I will say I did love the bit with the otters.
Yes. Well, I mean, otters are just so cute.
They are adorable. They are really adorable. But it's a, you know, it was a cute little bit. But it's how you resolve this movie that has just essentially resolved to itself. It didn't want to be a repeat of the first movie. And I mean, realistically speaking, and you can even give Cars 2 credit for this, that their sequels don't recycle a story. You know, considering, you know, all 4 Toy Story films, if you consider the Monsters movies, the Ocean movies, the Incredibles, they don't recycle plots. These are not easy cash grabs, which is why for the better sequels, and I'm going to include this as one of the better sequels, it's because there's so much space in between when they first happened and then the next one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could consider this one as a better sequel. It's mainly because of its competition. It really only has one sequel that's kind of
the Toy Story stuff. Why do we
not
forget the Toy Story stuff when we talk about sequels? It's like, yeah, they didn't really do sequels until their third movie.
Yeah, well, I think it's just because the Toy Story movies just feel like a whole different animal because each one is just better than the last. Well, I don't know about
you haven't seen 4 yet.
No.
It ends at 3, by the way, but yeah, 4 is still a good movie.
Yeah.
Interesting little note too about Finding Dory. This movie, although it was one of the highest grossing movies of 2016, did not get an Oscar nomination for Best Feature Length Animated.
I didn't think it would.
No. Well, it was up against 2 of Disney's, the Disney Studio proper's absolute best.
Yeah, it was Zootopia and Moana. And also that year, I believe, was Kubo in Two Springs.
It was, yeah. I think Kubo was nominated that year too.
I mean, when you're up against those 3 juggernauts, yeah, Finding Dory is not in the same ballpark.
Yeah, no, it wasn't even nominated though.
Yeah.
So, which, you know, happens just like when Frozen 2 didn't get a nomination for Best Feature. So, I mean, overall, this is a fine movie. It's not one I rush out to see.
Yeah. The whole like what a wonderful world scene at the end. I thought that was a fun moment. Again, a little logistics. Like we see the truck going over them, but then somehow Dory and Hank fall ahead of the truck onto them before the truck falls onto them, despite the fact that the shadow of the truck already went over them. So, yeah, 5 + 5 = 92.
Yeah, I don't get paid enough to figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all right. So you know what really pissed me off about this was that when you see the cast credits, it's like, wait a second, Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe was in this movie.
Well, you saw Willem Dafoe, Vicki Lewis, Stephen Root.
Stephen Root,
Garrett.
Stephen Root, I got it.
You saw them in the credits prior to actually getting the payoff at the post credit stinger.
Right. Yeah. Which again, it's funny and all, but realistically speaking, if they'd been
dead, yeah.
If those bags had been floating for a year, they'd be long dead.
Yeah, but. You know what? It was great to have that joke play out, and the payoff of that joke is that they're just going to end up back in the facility, you know, and not out in the open ocean.
Probably put in quarantine.
Yeah, they'll be put in quarantine.
Maybe if they're lucky, they get put in the open ocean exhibit.
Yeah, then they just swim away.
Yeah.
So, I mean, overall, I do like this movie. I
Yeah.
think that the use of voice actors was fine. It was great.
And Dory's father was Eugene Levy. Dory's mother.
Diane Keaton.
That's right. Yes.
And I will say something I really liked about the design of Dory's father. The stripes made him look like he had a receding hairline, which actually was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But even at the very beginning, those two fish that help Dory out when she's first lost is Kate McKinnon and Bill Hader.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a lot of name talent in this movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah. This is a cameo dream.
Yeah, and it works. I think for this one, it works because they don't have to look anything like the person. It's just for a quick scene because the ocean is so vast.
And I'm not going to lie, Ty Burrell as Bailey, I thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, for a couple of those scenes, I'm like, I know it's Ty Burrell, but that sounds like Patton Oswalt.
Yep. Nope, it's not. But yeah, no, that's Ty Burrell, who had gone through like his whole thing of animated and kids films. So Muppets Most Wanted, Mr. Peabody.
He's still my favorite part of Muppets Most Wanted. Him and Sam the Eagle.
Sam the Eagle, yeah, that was great.
They were brilliant together. Everything else was kind of throwaway.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know how much more about this I have to say. How about you?
Nah, it wasn't a bad film. It's just it's one that you really can't think about it too much, or else you start. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and quite honestly, take away a couple $1 million, this would have felt at home as a direct to home release.
Yeah,
it really would have.
I am constantly in awe at the animation of underwater.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it is a beautiful movie. Beautiful.
Nobody does that better. And I've seen videos on like the cheap Nemo ripoffs. Nobody can get the water right. And the thing is, though, it's easier to animate fish apparently than it is to animate anything else. They don't really care so much about the water. But that reminds me, whatever happened to Saber Spark? I gotta take a look, see if that guy's still doing videos. But yeah, that is Finding Dory. What are your thoughts on Finding Dory? Where does it rank in your annals of Pixar movies? Leave a polite comment below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe as well if you haven't already. Next week we begin our Halloween. I think we're taking a break from Pixar again, and we're going to do some Halloween. I can't bring myself to watch another Cars movie right now.
Oh, crap! That is the next one.
Let me ask you this, Mike, because we've talked about this.
Yeah.
Do individuals on the Jaws sequels, or do we do all three at once? They are on Netflix, by the way.
Oh. I bet the original Jaws is not on Netflix, though.
Probably not, but we're not talking about that one because we talked about it on an
Yes,
earlier installment of this show. And I think we're going to go down to bad sequels for this month.
I mean, personally speaking, I would rather tackle them each one separately, mainly because that means I don't have to watch all three of them in 1 week, which I might want to shoot myself afterwards.
All right. Do we want to? All right, so we're going to do that then. Jaws 2, Jaws 3, and Jaws 4 individually, and then we'll find one more movie to kind of tie it all. Actually, at some point in between all this, we got to use up one of those for our recap of all the what ifs.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we're going to do. We're just going to do the Jaws sequels this Halloween.
And I know for a fact that someone's going to want it. Yeah, Kurt's going to want to join us for that one. I was going to keep it secret, but sure, whatever.
Well, he was talking about it last week, so I think we have to bring him in.
Yeah.
He hasn't commented, so I'm assuming he's not even listening right now. So.
No, we got 2 people watching.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I have no idea who they are right now. Hi.
Oh, well, hi. Thank you for watching. All right, then. Well, hey, folks. Mike and I host a little podcast called Geek Salad. You can check us out wherever you get. Nope. Oh,
hi,
you're
Kurt.
here. You had nothing to say about Finding Dory, Kurt? Thank you for joining us.
Well, hey, Kurt's here. So, sorry. I have a problem with my short-term memory.
So yeah, so Mike and I do host a little podcast called Geek Salad. You can check us out wherever you get your podcasts. Haven't
Oh,
seen
hey,
it.
Kurt's here.
Kurt,
Sorry.
Disney Plus, man. That's where all this stuff is. All of it, except for next week's episodes, which we are Netflix. I'm actually happy about that, so I don't have to deal with Tubi and all their stupid commercials.
I've never even bothered with Tubi, mainly because I flippin' hate commercials.
Yeah, I know, but hey, at least now I know how I can, make my countertops bacteria free, because it's pretty much the only commercials I ever see are for household cleaning products. But yeah, our latest.
They do have the original Jaws.
They all four?
Yeah, they got all four. And Deep Blue Sea.
Motherfucker.
I love Deep Blue Sea.
What was I going to say? Okay, so our latest podcast episode, we talk about our favorite debut albums of all time. It is a great time. Looking forward to our next conversation, where we're going to start ranking the top comic book movie villains / antagonists. They got to come from a movie that was theatrically released. It's got to be feature length. Those are the requirements, but there's a lot of villains out there, so I'm sure you can figure at least one or two out.
It's how we're going to decorate our Halloween.
It's also easy enough to record once for a full month of episodes, because that's just how we roll. So anyway, feel free to follow us if you haven't already on our social medias. We are on Twitter at Geek Salad Radio and on Facebook at Geek Salad Podcast. That is about it. And also go back, check out if you're just joining us, check out some of our older Pixar reviews. We have done every Pixar movie up to this point now. So when we return in November, we are going to hit up with Cars 3 and Coco as our next two. So
one of which I saw in theaters.
Yes. And
it wasn't Cars 3. Oh, the other is Cars 3. Please.
All right. So anyway, folks, until next time, I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
Go forth and be nerdful. We'll talk to you later.